I'm John Nickel with worshipteamcoach.com, and I'm here to talk to you about barriers in your ministry. We're looking today at the third barrier, and that's the poor preparation barrier. While this one's a little more obvious, let's still talk about what the poor preparation barrier is. Summed up, poor preparation leads to poor worship leadership and the modeling of our worship. In other words, we can't lead well what we don't know well. If we don't prepare both individually and as a team, we will be a hindrance to our congregation's worship. While this barrier seems pretty easy to spot, there's one big telltale sign. Your team practices at rehearsals and rehearses at sound checks. What do I mean by that? It's when we use our team rehearsals as our personal preparation time. I see it all the time, and I've been guilty of it myself too. For example, the electric guitar player spends every song figuring out his part and messing with his gear, trying to figure out the right tone. The keyboard player will just sight read through a chart with no regard for how it fits in with the rest of the band. And a vocalist will ask to play the recording again so she can hear how the melody goes. This all needs to be done before rehearsals, because what happens then is the team spends Sunday morning warm-up and sound check rehearsing the songs now that they finally learned their part. Now, if you've played on a worship team for more than 10 minutes, this probably sounds way too familiar. Now, there's one huge reason why this barrier affects worship. When a team isn't prepared, it holds them back from confidently entering into the lead worshiper role. And there's two parts of our worship leading role that poor preparation affects. The first part is this: when I'm unprepared, I struggle to enter into worship. If I'm struggling to worship God, I'm not modeling worship for the congregation. And when I'm unprepared, I struggle also to engage the congregation. I can't connect with them when I'm glued to my music stand. And there's another way this barrier is a hindrance to your worship team. It's this: the team suffers when some of the members don't prepare. What it does, it creates resentment and it lowers the standards of the team. Looking back at the Old Testament, we see that David appointed musicians from among the Levites. 1 Chronicles 15:22 says that Kenaniah, the head Levite, was in charge of the singing. That was his responsibility because he was skillful at it. And take a look a little further into 1 Chronicles. Chapter 25, 6-8 says this: all these men were under the supervision of their father for the music of the temple of the Lord, with cymbals, lyres, and harps, for the ministry at the house of God. Asaph, Jeduthun, and Heman were under the supervision of the king, along with their relatives, all of them trained and skilled in music for the Lord. They numbered 288. Young and old alike, teacher as well as student, cast lots for their duties. So you can see that the temple musicians were skilled to lead people in worship. And that kind of skill requires preparation. Did you notice that the preparation wasn't just a week-to-week thing, but a lifelong thing? They had young and old, and teacher and student. So preparation is required for worship musicians to be skilled. We can't lead well what we don't know well. If you are called to be on the worship team, you're called to be skilled. And skill requires preparation. But here's the best part. Preparation in and of itself, it can be an act of worship. With the right heart attitude, it can be a sacrifice of time, of energy, and talents that we give to worship God.